Right-sizing revolution, designing your future one room at a time. Welcome to the BlackCEO Podcast, where we explore transformative ideas that reshape our understanding of success, leadership, and personal growth. Today, we're diving into a conversation that has the power to revolutionize how we think about our homes, our lives, and our futures. I'm thrilled to share with you the insights I've gained from an extraordinary individual who's not just changing the real estate game, but transforming lives in the process. I'm talking about Kiesett Collier-Newton, the visionary broker and chief steward of Caller Brown Realty. Kiesett isn't just a real estate professional. She's a life transition specialist, a community builder, and a catalyst for positive change. Her innovative approach to helping people navigate life's transitions through their living spaces is nothing short of revolutionary. She's touching lives, rebuilding communities, and reshaping the very fabric of how we think about home. So let's dive in, shall we? Imagine this. You're standing in your home, the place you've lived for years, maybe decades. It's filled with memories, sure, but it's also filled with stuff, lots and lots of stuff. Now close your eyes for a moment. What if I told you that the next chapter of your life isn't about loss or downsizing, but about reclaiming control and designing a future on your own terms? Open your eyes. Picture walking into a home where every corner reflects who you are now, not who you were expected to be decades ago. A space where the weight of unused rooms and dusty mementos lifts from your shoulders, replaced by a sense of lightness and possibility. This, my friends, isn't a downsizing story. It's a right-sizing revolution. Now, I know what you're thinking, but my home is filled with memories. How can I let that go? Trust me, I've been there. We all have that drawer, that closet, or that entire room filled with things we can't quite part with. But here's the truth bomb Kiesett dropped on me. Those memories don't live in the stuff. They live in us. Let me share a story about one of Kiesett's clients, a woman we'll call Margaret. Margaret had lived in her two-story colonial for 40 years. It was where she raised her kids, hosted countless holiday dinners, and created a lifetime of memories. The thought of leaving made her feel like she was abandoning her past. But as Kiesett worked with Margaret, something interesting happened. They started going through the house, room by room, not just looking at objects, but at the stories behind them. Margaret realized that for every item that truly sparked joy and connection, there were dozens that just collected dust and created stress. The turning point came when Margaret's daughter visited and said, "Mom, I don't need your china set to remember Sunday dinners. I need you to have the energy to come visit my kids and make new memories." That's when it clicked. Margaret wasn't losing her past by moving. She was making space for her future. With Kiesett's guidance, she found a beautiful single-level home in a vibrant community. Now, instead of dreading stairs and maintenance, Margaret has the energy to take art classes, volunteer, and yes, visit those grandkids more often. This story illustrates a crucial point Kiesett emphasized. Our homes should support who we are now and where we're going, not anchor us to who we used to be. It's not about getting rid of everything. It's about curating a space that energizes rather than depletes us. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, or should I say, the elephant that takes up half the room. We accumulate a lot of stuff over the years, don't we? It's like our possessions have been secretly breeding while we sleep. Kiesett shared an interesting perspective on this. She says that often our reluctance to let go isn't about the items themselves, but about what they represent. That treadmill gathering dust in the corner, it's not just exercise equipment, it's the promise of the fitness routine we never quite started. The boxes of old work files, they're not just paper, they're proof of our professional identity. Kiesett's approach isn't about ruthlessly decluttering, it's about honestly assessing what truly serves our present and future selves. She told me about another client, a retired executive named Robert. His home office was packed floor to ceiling with books, awards, and mementos from his career. When Kiesett first suggested paring down, Robert was adamant. "This is who I am," he insisted. But as they talked, Kiesett asked him a simple question. If you could only keep the items that truly reflect who you are today and who you want to be tomorrow, what would make the cut? It was a light bulb moment for Robert. He realized that while his career had been important, it wasn't the sum total of his identity. Over the next few weeks, he curated a small collection of meaningful items. The rest he either digitized, donated, or passed on to mentees who could benefit from his expertise. The result? Robert's new home office became a space not just for reminiscing about past achievements, but for pursuing new passions. He started writing, mentoring young entrepreneurs, and even took up painting, something he'd always wanted to try, but never had the space for. This story beautifully illustrates another key point from my conversation with Kiesett: the power of intentional curation. It's not about erasing our past, but about making conscious choices about what we carry forward. It's about creating space, both physically and mentally, for new experiences, new relationships, and new aspects of ourselves to flourish. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, that sounds great, but I'm not ready for such a big change. And that's okay. Kiesett emphasized that this transition isn't about rushing or forcing anything. It's about starting a conversation with yourself about what truly matters at this stage of your life. She shared a brilliant exercise that I think could benefit all of us, regardless of our age or living situation. It's called the Ideal Day Visualization. Here's how it works. Close your eyes and imagine your perfect day from the moment you wake up to when you go to sleep. Where are you? What does your environment look like? What activities bring you joy? Who are you spending time with? Most importantly, how do you feel? Now, open your eyes and look around your current space. Does it support that ideal day, or does it create obstacles? Are there changes you could make, big or small, to align your environment more closely with your vision? This exercise isn't about creating an unrealistic fantasy. It's about getting clear on your priorities and values, then shaping your living space to reflect and support those priorities. It's about proactively designing your environment instead of passively accepting whatever you've accumulated over the years. Kiesett told me about a couple, the Johnsons, who did this exercise. Their ideal day involved morning yoga, cooking healthy meals together, having friends over for dinner, and ending the evening stargazing on a patio. When they looked at their current home, they realized it didn't support any of these activities well. Their yoga mats were buried in a cluttered spare room. The kitchen was outdated and cramped, discouraging cooking. The dining room was formal and rarely used. In their backyard, it was more of a maintenance headache than a place for relaxation. This realization kickstarted their journey to find a home that aligned with their vision. With Kiesett's help, they found a place with an open floor plan, perfect for entertaining, a modern kitchen that inspired healthy cooking, and a beautiful patio for those stargazing sessions. The spare room became a dedicated yoga and meditation space. The Johnsons didn't just change their address, they transformed their daily life. And here's the kicker: many of the activities they envisioned were things they could have been doing all along, but their old environment, filled with reminders of outdated priorities and unused spaces, subtly discouraged them from living the life they truly wanted. This brings me to another profound insight from my conversation with Kiesett. Our environment shapes our behavior more than we realize. The spaces we inhabit aren't just containers for our stuff, they're containers for our lives. They can either expand or contract our sense of possibility. Think about it. How many times have you avoided a task because the space for it was cluttered or uninspiring? How often have you felt drained just looking at a room full of unfinished projects or unused equipment? On the flip side, think about how energized you feel in a space that's beautiful, functional, and aligned with your current needs and aspirations. Kiesett emphasized that this principle applies regardless of the size or type of home. It's not about having more space or fancier amenities. It's about creating an environment that supports your well-being, nurtures your relationships, and encourages your personal growth. She shared a beautiful metaphor that really stuck with me. She said, think of your home as a garden. You wouldn't keep plants that are withering or that you've outgrown. You cultivate the ones that are thriving and make space for new growth. Your living space deserves the same care and intention. This perspective shift from seeing our homes as static repositories of our past to dynamic spaces that can evolve with us is incredibly empowering. It puts us back in the driver's seat of our lives, allowing us to shape our environment instead of being shaped by it. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. This all sounds great, but what about the practical challenges? Moving is stressful. What about the costs? What if I'm not ready to leave my neighborhood? These are valid concerns, and Kiesett addressed them head on in our conversation. She emphasized that this transition isn't about making hasty decisions or ignoring practical realities. It's about starting the process of aligning your living situation with your current and future needs. whatever that looks like for you. For some, it might mean a move to a new home that better supports their lifestyle. For others, it could be about reimagining and renovating their current space. And for many, it starts with small, intentional changes that can make a big difference in daily life. Kiesett shared a story about a client named Eleanor, a widow in her 70s who loved her home but was struggling with its upkeep. Instead of immediately suggesting a move, Kiesett helped Eleanor explore other options. They brought in an occupational therapist to suggest modifications that would make the home safer and more comfortable. They found a reliable handyman for regular maintenance and a cleaning service to help with the heavier tasks. Most importantly, they worked on reorganizing the space to better suit Eleanor's current lifestyle. The rarely used dining room became a cozy reading nook. The guest room was transformed into a hobby space for Eleanor's newfound interest in painting. These changes not only made the home more manageable, but also injected new energy and purpose into Eleanor's daily life. This story illustrates a crucial point. The goal isn't necessarily to move, but to create a living situation that enhances your well-being and supports your aspirations. Sometimes that means finding a new home, and sometimes it means reimagining the space you're in. The key is to approach the process with intention and openness. Kiesett emphasized that this journey is deeply personal, and there's no one-size-fits-all solution. What works for one person might not work for another. The important thing is to start the conversation with yourself, with your loved ones, and with professionals who can provide guidance and support. This brings me to another vital insight from our conversation: the importance of assembling the right team. Kiesett isn't just a real estate broker. She's a transition specialist. She works with a network of professionals, from organizers and designers to financial advisors and healthcare providers, to ensure her clients have comprehensive support throughout their journey. She shared an analogy that I found particularly pertinent. She said, think of this transition like planning a trip to a country you've never visited. You wouldn't just book a flight and hope for the best. You'd research, consult with people who've been there, maybe work with a travel agent. You'd make sure you had the right gear, the right documents, the right information. This life transition deserves the same level of preparation and support. This holistic approach addresses not just the logistical aspects of changing your living situation, but also the emotional and psychological dimensions. Because let's face it, this isn't just about square footage or floor plans. It's about identity. It's about reimagining your life. And that can be both exciting and scary. Kiesett shared a powerful observation about this emotional journey. She's noticed that her clients often go through a process similar to the stages of grief, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. But she's added a sixth stage: celebration. She told me about a client, Linda, who initially resisted the idea of moving from her large family home. Linda went through all the stages, insisting she was fine, managing the big house alone, getting angry at the suggestion of change, trying to bargain by considering elaborate renovations, feeling depressed about the prospect of leaving. But when Linda finally found a new home that truly excited her, a beautiful condo with a view of the park she loved, in a community with activities she enjoyed, something shifted. The move became not just acceptable, but celebratory. It wasn't about what she was leaving behind, but what she was moving towards. Linda's housewarming party in her new place wasn't a somber affair, mourning the loss of her old home. It was a joyous celebration of new beginnings, filled with friends old and new, and brimming with excitement for the adventures to come. This story beautifully encapsulates the transformative potential of this journey. When approached with the right mindset and support, this transition becomes an opportunity for growth, for rediscovery, for crafting a life that aligns more closely with who you are and who you want to become. As we wrap up, I want to share one final insight from my conversation with Kiesett, something that I believe applies to all of us, regardless of our age or life stage. She said, your home should be a launch pad, not a storage unit. Think about that for a moment. Is your current living space propelling you towards the life you want, or is it holding you back? Is it a sanctuary that recharges you, or a source of stress that depletes you? Is it a reflection of your past, or a canvas for your future? These are powerful questions, and I encourage you to sit with them, because here's the truth. You have more control over your environment, and by extension, your life, than you might think. You have the power to create a home that truly supports your well-being, nurtures your relationships, and encourages your growth. This isn't about age. It's not about downsizing or upgrading. It's about right-sizing your life. It's about creating a space that works for you, not against you, a space that energizes you, inspires you, and yes, launches you into each day with purpose and joy. So, I'll leave you with this challenge. Take a fresh look at your living space, not with the eyes of habit that have grown accustomed to every cluttered corner, but with the eyes of possibility. Ask yourself, if I were to design a space that truly supported the life I want to live, what would it look like? What would it feel like to wake up in that space every day? And then this is the crucial part. Take one small step towards that vision. Maybe it's clearing out a drawer, repurposing a room, or simply starting a conversation with your loved ones about your future living situation. Whatever it is, let it be a step towards aligning your space with your authentic self and your aspirations. Remember, this journey isn't about loss. It's about reclaiming control. It's about making room for the life you want to live. It's about creating a home that isn't just a repository of your past, but a launch pad for your future. As we conclude this transformative journey through the concept of right-sizing, I want to leave you with a call to action that goes beyond just reorganizing your physical space. This is about reimagining your entire life. Imagine a world where everyone lived in spaces that truly reflected their current selves and future aspirations. A world where our homes weren't burdens, but sources of energy and inspiration. A world where we weren't defined by our possessions, but by our experiences, relationships, and personal growth. This isn't just about decluttering or moving house. This is about a fundamental shift in how we think about our living spaces and, by extension, our lives. It's about challenging the societal norms that equate bigger with better, or that tie our identity so closely to our material possessions. So here's my challenge to you. Become an agent of change in your own life and in your community. Start conversations about what truly matters in a home. Question the assumptions you've held about what you should have or how you should live. Take that ideal day exercise we discussed and share it with friends and family. Encourage them to reimagine their own spaces. Be open about your own journey, the challenges, the fears, and yes, the triumphs. If you're in a position of influence, whether you're a business leader, a community organizer, or simply someone people look up to, consider how you can promote this concept of right sizing. How can you create work environments that reflect these principles? How can you support community initiatives that help people transition to more suitable living situations? And for those of you who are already living in spaces that truly work for you, share your story. Be an inspiration to others. Show them that it's possible to create a home that's not just a place to live, but a place to thrive. Remember, this revolution starts with you. It starts in your home, in your neighborhood, in your community. It starts with a willingness to look at your space with fresh eyes and to ask yourself, is this serving me? Is this launching me into the life I want to live? So go forth and right size your life. Create spaces that heal, inspire, and launch you into your best self. Because when we align our environments with our true selves, we don't just change our homes, we change the world. Thank you for joining me on this transformative journey. Here's to homes that heal, inspire, and launch us into our best lives. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep growing, and keep creating spaces, both physical and mental, for the life you truly want to live. The right sizing revolution starts now. Are you ready to join it?